Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we are diving straight into one of the most profound, massive, existential debates in human history. We're talking intelligent design versus naturalism. Think about it. How did we get here? Does the universe have a deliberate purpose, or is it just the ultimate product of blind, unguided forces? Now, throughout this explainer, we are absolutely not taking sides. Instead, we're going to explore this fascinating standoff impartially, looking at direct evidence, mathematical probabilities, and straight-up quotes from some of the leading scientific minds of our time.
To kick things off, I want you to picture something with me for a second. Suppose we send a mission to Mars, right? And upon landing, the astronauts step out and find a massive dome structure. They go inside, and the temperature is set perfectly to 70 degrees, the humidity is exactly 50%, and there's this active oxygen recycling system producing a fully functioning biosphere. What would you think? Well, as philosopher Robin Collins points out, you wouldn't just assume it formed by some random volcanic eruption. No way. You'd immediately conclude it was designed. And this analogy hooks us right into the core phenomenon that both sides of our debate actually completely agree on. The universe we live in appears incredibly ordered and perfectly set up for life.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is the exact journey we'll take to unpack this debate. First, the appearance of design. Second, decoding biological complexity. Third, fine-tuning the cosmos. Fourth, the multiverse hypothesis. And finally, we'll wrap up with the junkyard tornado fallacy.
Section 1. The appearance of design. Before the debate over who or what actually created the universe even begins, it's crucial to understand that both intelligent design proponents and prominent atheists agree on the baseline data. They both look at the universe and acknowledge it exhibits a staggering level of apparent design. Now, what's really interesting here is this quote from Richard Dawkins. He's one of the world's most famous evolutionary biologists and a very vocal atheist. But during a public dialogue, Dawkins actually admitted that the concept of an intelligent designer inventing the laws of physics and mathematics is a stupendous, dramatic idea. So even though he personally completely rejects it, he concedes that intelligent design is a valid, exciting scientific hypothesis that genuinely warrants serious consideration. Similarly, the legendary theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking held a really deep reverence for this apparent order in the cosmos. He noted that the universe is essentially a machine governed by unbreakable, universal laws of nature. And this observation? It raises the ultimate question that both naturalists and design theorists have to grapple with. Where do these unbreakable laws actually come from? If there is a law, does there have to be a law writer?
Section 2. Decoding biological complexity. We're going to shrink our focus way down into the microscopic realm of molecular biology to see exactly how these two camps interpret the intensely complex information found inside our very own DNA.
Enter origin of life theorist Leslie Orgel. He popularized a super crucial concept called specified complexity. And intelligent design theorists argue that this is the true measure of biological information. You see, it's not just about a sequence being really complex or really long. It requires both order and a highly specific arrangement of parts to actually function. Think of it like finely tuned computer machine code. It's literally the difference between a functional life-giving gene and just a random stretch of genetic junk. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference in how the two sides view genetic information, using a great poker analogy from researcher Casey Luskin. Darwinists often use a model called Shannon information, which basically just measures how unlikely a sequence is. Under that model, getting 10 consecutive losing hands in poker is highly improbable, sure, but it's ultimately completely meaningless. Intelligent design proponents, on the other hand, look for specified complexity, which is like getting 10 consecutive royal flushes. It's highly improbable, yes, but it also conforms to an independent functional pattern, which they argue strongly implies a purposeful design.
To put this biological improbability into perspective, astronomer Fred Hoyle actually calculated the odds of obtaining all 2,000 life-essential enzymes purely by random chance in the primal soup. The number he arrived at? 1 in 10 to the 40,000th power. That is an astronomically, mind-bogglingly small probability. It's a massive mathematical hurdle that literally any unguided theory for the origin of life has to somehow account for.
Section 3. Fine-tuning the cosmos. Let's shift gears from the microscopic building blocks of life back out to the massive scale of astrophysics. We need to examine the initial physical conditions of the universe that were required for life to exist at all. Physicists have discovered that our universe is literally balanced on a razor's edge.
Let me give you some numbers. The energy density at the Big Bang was fine-tuned to 1 part in 10 to the 55th power. The strength of gravity, fine-tuned to 1 part in 10 to the 40th power. The mass ratio of neutrons to protons, the electromagnetic force, they are exactly, and I mean exactly, where they need to be. If you were to take any of these cosmic dials and turn them even a fraction of a hair, stars, planets, chemistry, and life itself would be entirely impossible.
It's hard for our human brains to grasp exactly how staggering a precision of 1 part in 10 to the 60th power truly is. So consider this analogy. It is the mathematical equivalent of blindfolding yourself, firing a dart at a 1-foot-wide target located on the complete opposite side of the observable universe, 20 billion light-years away, and hitting a perfect bullseye. That is the insane level of precision we are looking at in the fundamental constants of physics.
So the crucial point is really captured by Oxford physicist Roger Penrose. He went ahead and calculated the mind-bending odds of the universe starting with the incredibly low entropy state required to avoid collapsing immediately into a universe of dead black holes. His calculation, get ready for this, 1 in 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 123. To write that number out with zeros would physically require more zeros than there are subatomic particles in the entire observable universe. For intelligent design advocates, these odds completely, absolutely obliterate the idea of random chance.
Section 4. The multiverse hypothesis. Now, naturalists and theoretical physicists definitely have a compelling counterargument here. How do atheistic scientists explain these miraculous odds without invoking a cosmic designer?
Well, the answer for many of them is the multiverse. Imagine a theoretical universe generator that produces an infinite number of universes. Each time it pops out a new universe, it randomly selects the initial conditions and physical laws, essentially rolling the cosmic dice over and over again. Naturalists argue that if you have infinite universes being generated constantly, it's practically guaranteed that just by sheer dumb chance, one of them is bound to have the exact right parameters for life, and we just happen to live in the lucky one.
However, it's worth noting that not everyone in the secular science community embraces this idea. Take secular cosmologist Paul Davies, for example. He criticizes the multiverse theory, arguing that it simply shifts the mystery up a level. Because even if a universe generator does exist, Davies asks the obvious question: where do the physical mechanisms and the meta-laws that run this generator come from? Who, or what, programmed the machine that's rolling those cosmic dice in the first place?
Section 5. The junkyard tornado fallacy. This is our final section, where we see how evolutionary biologists directly address and push back against those massive, scary probability numbers thrown out by intelligent design proponents regarding the origin of life.
Remember Fred Hoyle's calculations from earlier? Well, Hoyle famously argued that life emerging by chance is mathematically as likely as a tornado sweeping through a junkyard and accidentally assembling a fully functional Boeing 747 out of the scrap metal. For decades now, this analogy has been a massive talking point for intelligent design to demonstrate the total absurdity of unguided creation.
Let's move to and see how this builds from the perspective of evolutionary biologists. They completely flat-out reject Hoyle's analogy. In fact, they call it Hoyle's fallacy. They argue that the junkyard tornado completely ignores the primary engine of evolution, which is natural selection. Evolution doesn't try to build a 747 in a single random miraculous burst. Instead, it relies on natural selection acting on small genetic mutations over millions of years, keeping the tiny things that work and discarding what doesn't. Biologists argue that this gradual step-by-step selection process makes the emergence of complex life entirely probable, without needing a designer at all.
So, as we pull back and look at the big picture, we can clearly summarize this incredible dialectical standoff. Both sides are looking at the exact same breathtaking cosmic data. Intelligent design proponents look at the unbreakable laws of physics, the fine-tuning of the cosmos, and the specified complexity of DNA, and they conclude it points directly to a deliberate, intelligent agent outside of nature. Naturalists look at that exact same data and conclude that the apparent design is simply an illusion, generated by deep time, natural selection, and the potential existence of infinite universes rolling the cosmic dice.
And that leaves us right here, with the ultimate question. Does the astonishing fine-tuning of the cosmos point to a grand architect, or is it simply the ultimate illusion of deep time and infinite universes? I really want to thank you for joining me on this focused learning journey today. This explainer only scratches the surface of this profound debate, and I highly, highly encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep digging into these incredible existential mysteries.